Bienvenidos. Hola Galeras. Welcome to the Painter Files presents Painter's Breakfast. I'm your host, Giles Blake. As you all know, we eat food here, we shoot the shit, we talk the talk. Jibber, how's it going? How is photography going for you? Yeah, so we talk, we do all these things, we do all this stuff. Today I have a nice kind of green bowl of assorted nonsense, eggs, shrimp, jalapenos, spinach, black beans, onions, culture, you know, and some cheese in there too. Actually, it's all in the bottom. I didn't think about this when I did this. I meant to wash everything last night, and I forgot. And we downsized a couple of years ago from all the plates and bowls and stuff we had. So we have much smaller amounts now. So now you just kind of have to wash stuff all the time, which I'm not sure is better or worse. Because I guess it was kind of junky before, but I don't know. Get a nice big jalapeno there. Get some guac. There's guac too. And yeah, first bites. Mm. Amazing. So, where do we start for the week? What was? I got my new sensor. There was a whole ordeal to do that. It was insane. Um, so, for those who don't know, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm type 1.5 to be specific. And in being a type 1.5, I have to check my blood sugar all the time. And so I got a continuous glucose monitor, which is this guy. You jam him into your arm, and then it just relays your blood sugar all day. Mostly it changes up kind of how I've been eating the last going on 2 years. And I found out I was diabetic because I was having issues with my stomach. And so I went to get checked up. And they flagged it. They flagged my blood sugar. And ran a bunch of tests. Stole my blood, as I like to say. Um, and it was just interesting, you know? It was terrifying at first. And then I was hungry all the time. And I was nauseous all the time. With all the different medications and the different ways I was meant to eat stuff, the different order in which I was meant to eat stuff. It was just crazy. Like most people who are on medication, though, I have to get my medication renewed. Either every month or every other month. Most people who have medications that they need know that you have to jump through hoops sometimes with doctors and doctors' offices to get them to do what you feel is kind of like a basic thing, where it's like, well, I'm still diabetic. It's like, yeah, we just want you to come in real quick so we can. And in my mind, like the reason they bring me in is so they can basically just charge me more money. There you go. And it was just kind of crazy, you know. I had to go in on a Friday in the middle of the day. I had to go in to get my prescription refilled because I'd been trying to get it renewed. I've been trying to get it renewed for about a month and a half with no regards. My original doctor had stopped working with my medical practice that I was going to, and so it was just this whole thing to just get this one monitor. This only lasts for 14 days. So I got to go through this all over again in about 5 days to try and get multiples because like just having one is just kind of stress on stress on stress. Excuse me. Stress on stress on stress. So I got it for right now, so that's good. I don't really like pricking my fingers because, for those who don't know, I am a painter. That's the name of the show, Painter's Breakfast. But I'm also a mechanic, so I work with my hands nonstop all the time. And it's kind of brutal to have little cuts on your fingers while you're working with potentially, very dirty things in addition to, and people are like, oh, wear gloves. And I'm like, even with gloves, like, your dexterity gets messed up. It's a whole thing. More important to me, it interferes with my painting. Like, my painting is my life. My life's work. Just created and recreated in ink and paint and charcoal and pastels and all these things. I can't walk away from those, you know. And then you get your brain starts to spiral and you start to think, oh, what happens if this goes wrong and this goes wrong and this goes wrong and this goes wrong. And you have to like lose a foot or some type of crazy thing like that. Because honestly, that's the first thing most people think of when they think of diabetes. Lose your foot one day. Maybe it's just black people. I don't know. It's like the first. I just think like Big Mama's house, type of thing, and it's like, oh god, she'd lose her leg. So for the most part, I am fine. But they definitely ran me around for a while. So you are my Galeras. Galeras means people. My people. So Galeras, did you have breakfast? Was it good? Did you have a fully fulfilled morning? If not, what would have made it better? Hit me up. Let me know. Keep up with a healthy diet. I mean, I'm trying. It's hard though. It's hard, Jeffrey. It's really hard. It's much easier to find food that's horrible for you, particularly when you have health restrictions, than it is to find just food that's abundant everywhere. So I'm trying to get in the habit of bringing my own food with me when I have to when I have to go to jobs, when I have to go to work, when I have to go murals and all that stuff. Because it's much easier to just pick up stuff. Yes, the mug is back, by the way. It's much easier to pick up stuff as you travel. But the problem is, unless you want to eat a lot of raw stuff, or at least, or if you don't want to carry your food with you, you don't really have a lot of options. Like fast food is for people who don't have health issues, typically. So Jeffrey says, I realized going and helping my father with the gardening keeps me more aware of the importance. Yeah, absolutely. I reminds me, I gotta do that today. I gotta plant a bunch of seeds. I gotta gestate and do all this stuff today. So, my big plan for the day, amongst a few other things. Yeah, I've realized this time has gone by. Like you just kind of you have to really take control, grab the reins of your health, and go about it. I thought the strange thing about finding out being diabetic was I did not realize there were several different types of diabetes because I didn't need to know, so I didn't. I didn't realize, you could just genetically get it, and it didn't have anything to do with how you ate health wise. And I mean, I really didn't eat bad. I liked sweets like everybody else, but I didn't eat particularly bad. I wasn't, I was vegetarian or pescatarian. rather. Um, and like most people from the Caribbean, I, you know, I love me coffee. I love me shrimp, me veggies, all the good stuff. And that was really kind of what kept me going. A very typical diet of a Afro-Latino West Indian, you know? A lot of plátanos. My daughter is yelling. Well, my cat daughter. Let me for that. So you have to call child services on me. So the two producers for the show, Tom and Mochi, my cats, were fighting rather aggressively before the show. So I put them in separate rooms. Tom's out here with me, sitting on the couch, probably cleaning his butt. Um, he's very meticulous about it. Mochi is in the bedroom locked up, yelling right now. I don't think you can probably hear it, but I can hear it. Yeah. Anybody who has cats or has had cats will tell you they'll just fight for nothing. Like it doesn't make a difference. There could be something they want and they don't want to share it. Like a spot in the sun. They're very, very, very particularly ridiculous little creatures. The girl is very vocal, so she's cussing the whole time. She's cussing and she's growling, and he's very quiet. He fluffs up. They fight. They're cats. That's what cats do. My children's, my babies. It's just interesting the levels of silliness about them. My mom, who lives in North Carolina now, um, she got a surprise cat, which is she adopted three cats, two at the same time, one a couple years ago. And one of the two cats, the new ones, started acting kind of weird. She thought they were all girls. One is a boy. So he has been fixed. They've all been fixed. But she was waiting for. With boy cats, you have to wait for their balls to drop for all intents and purposes. And then you have to get them fixed. Otherwise, they will spray up your house and they fight and they try and mate with everybody. Um, it's just how they exist. And so, it was a bit of a surprise for her. I knew Tom was a boy from the get go, so we made sure he was taken care of in those ways. When he was adopted. I want to say when you adopt them in general, it's kind of one of those things that's already done. Because we adopted him from Humane Society. But it is funny because my mom was under the impression that now that he's fixed, he's going to be super calm and super chill. And I'm like, no, they just like to wrestle. They like to wrestle, they like to fight, they like to play, they like to run. And my years of having cats throughout the years, girl cats and boy cats have kind of different personalities a little. There's definitely certain character traits that are like more obvious. The wrestle thing is definitely a boy cat thing. And yeah, I don't have a preference. I love my boy. He's great. So I don't have a preference on boy girl cats. So beyond that weirdness, weird conversation about cats that nobody cares about. I've been getting better about journaling again. I've been making it a point. This isn't like a this is how you bullet point journal, and it's nothing like that. Don't worry about that. I'm not teaching a master class on how to write your ideas down. What I am going to do though is explain, like, I started doing it again because I found myself getting distracted by a lot of things. And rather than just kind of drop everything I'm doing and, like start doom scrolling essentially, I decided I wanted to start journaling again. So I've been doing that recently about just kind of all the major thoughts going on in my mind. And I feel like I've really kind of gotten more insight on it. It's like you find yourself, you're bored. I think the most common problem most people run across is they're bored, and so they either doom scroll or they buy shit online. So I started kind of writing down all the thoughts that were going through my mind and the questions I had going on, and the reactions I was getting from these things that I was doom scrolling and so on and so forth. And I realized it's like a dopamine thing. So in my profession as a painter, there's a certain aspect of like you have to kind of, well, you don't have to. I prefer to use a lot of concept stuff. So I have images that I'll scroll through. I'll look through magazines. I'll look through websites. I'll look through all types of stuff to kind of get ideas for poses and clothing choices and hairstyles and facial expressions and hand positionings and all these things. I have cameras and everything, so I take pictures a lot of times when I see something out in the wild or when I need some type of reference for myself. But I realized I've been doing this for so long. Like part of it is just more of a habit of doing it more than it is a necessity. I can draw a hand. It took me many, many years to get good at drawing hands, but I can draw a hand. I know the tricks when I have hard times with it. I know the triangle and then the finger and the thumb. Like that always works no matter where you are, no matter what that is. And you can even separate them, but it's still a triangle. You see it? You see the triangle? So, that type of thing. Feet and ankles, same thing. For some reason, in my life, I always envisioned art that I couldn't make when I was a younger artist. Now the sky's the limit. I just go. But I think that comes from partially the idea that I'm not afraid of making mistakes in my art. Dripping paint doesn't worry me anymore. Perfectly drawn or painted anatomy doesn't worry me anymore. The idea is to be more free and expressive with your motions. More shoulder, less wrist, less fingers. And then all the other techniques that I've kind of come up with that work well for me, essentially, in my art world. And I just feel like it's important, you've gotta kind of find your focus and not be shaken by other people, what you perceive to be other people's perceptions about what your art's going to look like. How it's going to feel, how it's going to grow, how it'll be perceived, whether it'll be bought, presented, etc. I just feel like as a person who had to like learn photography for art, I learned that you can learn all the technical stuff, but some of the best artwork I've ever seen, as far as photography goes, are the risks that photographers take. The blurring of a background to get the foreground to be perfect. After something's over, going back to it and reworking it. And these are all things that like are really important as far as like being a painter and being an artist. And so it's all kind of blended together, you know? I find it really just kind of important to get everything moving and forward. My friend Jeffrey, who was on here earlier, we met at an art show I was doing many, many, many years ago. And I've seen Jeffrey's work for a really long time. Jeffrey does amazing artwork. And his name is Jeffrey Andres Wright. And he's just, I see that work. I love meeting other artists because their passion for what they do is really, really inspiring to me. You're very welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to know you, honestly. Like it's one of those things. I do find it funny though, like when people meet me at art shows and stuff, sometimes they're surprised that like I don't have like a deep Caribbean accent, type of thing. And I've lived here so long and code switched for such a long period of time that there's a lot of accents. Depends on the emotion and the intent going on about it. And it's weird to like explain that to somebody who doesn't understand it and doesn't come from that background because to them it's like a silly thing where it's like, oh well, today I'm going to be British, type of thing. And it's just kind of funny to see how they don't understand it. I think they think people are making fun of people because that's how they would use it. And that's just very interesting to me how people put their own kind of weird, I'll say weird. Weird feels right. Born in Costa Rica. There we go. I think a lot of times people don't understand that like your reasoning for doing things is not everybody's reason. Like the authenticity of the food that is made that takes all day in a hot kitchen in a house that has cutouts for bricks so that the wind blows through it with a ceiling fan and minimalist light inside of it. And there's someone basically, for all intents and purposes, just working their butt off to, I don't know, feed everyone. Because that is feeding people is their way of saying I love you. They take care of you. And it's very interesting to like see, as we live in like a very fast food nation, that some people don't quite understand that. Like they live for the idea of get it in, get it out, get it done. There's no process. As time has gone by, in my 40s now, I've realized my favorite foods that I get to eat are community gathering culture. Yeah, I miss like these big parties and type of backyard situations and stuff, cookouts, if you will. More family orientated. Yeah, Jeffrey's got all these answers. Let's put Jeffrey on the show. We can do that, by the way. When we on the show, you can easily be on the show. I just think it's kind of important. It's interesting. It's all those things. I mean, I love I love my Dominican people. I love my Brazilian people. I love my West Indian people. I love they have such strong flavors. When I say that, I don't just mean like the food. I mean like it's their swagger, their love, their gifts. It's kind of amazing. I didn't appreciate it as much when a lot of them were alive. Greetings, Nararo. I didn't appreciate it as much when they were alive, and I'm learning to more appreciate it now. As I look back on photos, I look through journals, I do all these things. I think about them when I cook, you know? I think about them when I paint, when I write, when I do all these things. It's just kind of amazing, you know? Just kind of amazing. They reach forward through time and sit on my shoulders and lift me up. It's really beautiful. My wife and I will have been married for 12 years next month. So we're trying to figure out what we want to do to celebrate it. We thought about doing like when we initially got married, we got tattoos together. Not the same tattoo. But we just got tattoos together. And I was thinking that would be a really fun thing to do now. As we both love getting tattoos. Our friend Seven, who's like a cousin at this point, has his own tattoo shop in College Park, Maryland. Super great guy. We tease each other back and forth. We've known each other for so long. Me and my strange little sayings and weird ideas, and he and I joke around about them, much to the chagrin of my wife. She finds her inner Boricua, if you will, when we mess around. And it's very interesting because, like, I definitely didn't grow up speaking Spanish fluently. I learned more Portuguese than I did Spanish coming up. And I can say now, as I'm relearning Spanish, as the years have gone by, through through Dua Lipa, as I joke, as opposed to Duolingo, it's just been great. You know, it's interesting how it kind of the pieces fit together and they move and they make sense of things. There's so much in it. You see, Jeffrey goes, miss my childhood. Would run to the corner store with a group of kids after playing soccer and get coconut frozen ice cream for 50 cents. See, I remember going with my cousin. We'd go out and we'd play basketball. And then we would walk to the corner store several miles away. And then we would get like, the Caribbean has like very different flavors of ice cream. So yeah, coconut, guava, pineapple, trying to think whatever. Peanut. There's like a peanut butter flavor. That was really good. It was very sweet. I know in Trinidad they had like papaya. Yeah, papaya. I'm trying to think. God, there's so many. I saw one that was like dragon fruit, which was the strangest flavor I remember having. But those were the things. Then we'd watch. Then we'd stay up late with the TV that had the antennas with the little tinfoil on them and move them around with the click button type of thing. Lime, yes, God, so many flavors. Um, and we'd watch wrestling, and we'd watch like lucha libre from Mexico and Puerto Rico, and if we could, we could get like the American station, but typically you got a lot of like BBC, and then like just like local stations. So a lot of like Hindi stuff, a lot of like some Chinese stuff, a lot of Spanish things, a lot of like reggae and stuff like that. As far as like music would go, you could hear music every day, just calypso music and like bachata and stuff like that. It would just be playing, and it would just kind of you hear it in the wind as it would blow past. You know, a good breeze would have everybody standing by their windows like cats smelling the air. You know, like a dog with his head out the window. Really, Chipotle. Oof. Oh, Chabalin. Oh, Chabalin. Okay, I was like Chipotle ice cream. Jesus. Oh God, that would hurt. Um, yeah, it's just cool, man. It was just cool. Like it was this way about it that was just so mesmerful, just like mesmerizing and just different. Like I tell people sometimes they're like, I would love to like move to one of these places and live there for the rest of my life. And I was like, you'd have to give up a lot of the distractions that you have here in life. You would not have anymore. Mm. Calm, warm, nice. That's a good descriptor. Yeah, it's just different. I don't know how to describe it. Like all the things that you wish you could focus on, you had more time to do. That's all you have. That's all you have in a lot of ways. Um, like there's not a you're not trying to work to do 10% more profit than you were last year or the year before. Like there's a saying in Japanese called kaizen, and if I remember it properly, I hope I do, since I brought it up. It's always you basically you make something, you build it up, then you take it back down, and then you make it again. And then the idea is like every time you make it better, type of thing. And I feel like America has tried to kind of adopt this, but the problem we run across a lot of times is we like kind of adopt things, but we kind of don't at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, they do this and they do this. Okay, cool. But they do this for this. Ah, we're not worried about that. It's not about that, though. We're about this part. We just want to take, like, the first two halves. It's not about the third. That's not what it is. Or they look at it and they go, oh well, they're like the third strongest uh, company in their country, and it's just like, well, yeah, but I mean, there's like 10 companies in the whole country though. Like it's different, it's not the same, so you can't measure it on the same plane of existence in a lot of ways. I was working on this piece that I want to show you a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to find it. I think this might be it. And I was just going and making and just doing. And sometimes you just kind of have to go. You have to go and you have to make and you have to do and you have to go forward. I'm thinking of making like one of those like I was watching this person uh, and they were talking about how to make like a pinch pot. And some of you don't know what a pinch pot is because you're not from where we're from. But it's essentially like a clay pot that's almost like a piccolo, but it's small and it's decorative, and so you blow on it, "Ooh," type of thing, and you can put holes in it if you like, and you can use it like a piccolo, Most of the time, it's just got one kind of like a whistle, basically. But but it's like culturally, it's very important. In some countries, they use it, and it's like a death whistle. It sounds like a throat of a thing, and it's like a. In some countries, the indigenous people used it for war, to intimidate their foes. In some countries, it's used for just celebration. It's almost like the vuvuzelas. Oh, I couldn't get that out. At soccer games. Like, type of thing, and people were like, "I hate that," and I'm like, "You didn't grow up around here, so you don't get to decide that. You don't get to decide whether this is part of it or not." Um, so it's just kind of interesting. So I'm thinking about making one of those, anyways, with that design. Uh, and I like the idea. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I'd like to maybe make them. I think I might make it out of clay, and then if I really like it, I might do a mold and then print a bunch out of resin, and then paint them and do all these things. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it. I've never really. I've made stuff out of clay before, but I've never really made things extremely different than this is. So I'm trying to figure all that out. But it's coming together, you know? I have been talking for, 36 minutes. I'm out of food, which typically means the end of the show. So, thank you to everyone. My galeras, mi gente, you're amazing. It's still hard sometimes to not say Spanish words as Portuguese words. So, mi gente. Sorry. Um, but yeah, it's good. I like it. Hello. Is that who I think it is? I'm not sure who that is. Hello. Hello. Yeah, so for the most part, I think I'm going to be done. I'm going to go work on some stuff. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you take care of yourselves. Hope you eat well. Hope you have good conversations. I hope you have a great week. And be nice to yourselves. Yeah, I think I'll leave it off that. So, this is Joss Blake, Painter's Breakfast, signing out, Painter out. Big wink, watch for it. There you go. Adios.